Hello, friend, and welcome back to my studio. I am 4 months into posting weekly videos and already struggling with the format of video that I've set up for myself. I feel like I have so many stories to tell, but when it comes to writing them, I'm not sure exactly which are worth sharing. My whole point here is to try to connect with people, and in order to find the right way to do that, I'm going to be experimenting a lot more in my videos. Today, I'd like to talk in more of a journal kind of style about what's been on my mind, and I hope that it resonates with someone else too. While I talk, I'll be working on filling in some more of this painting. Today, I fill in the office chair. If you like my work, please subscribe to see how it all turns out. Now, back to it. A few months ago, I started using weed every day. I didn't mean to, but it crept into my life to cover my anxieties and stresses and embrace me with warm distraction every time that I felt at the end of my rope. A few weeks ago, I tried quitting for a month, only to return to it after a couple weeks and use daily once again. 2 weeks ago, I put it down for good, I hope. I think it's an incredibly useful tool for a lot of the struggles that I have, but it's also too easy to abuse, and I can't meet my personal goals with such regular use. Since I put the weed down, I've been disappointed by the change. I'm not sure if it's just a rose-colored reflection of the past, but I remember how I used to be. I used to have irregular bursts of productive energy, a passion for analytical thought, and a ceaseless burning for creative acts. I haven't experienced any of that in a very long time. I do try to reignite the spark. I have sat down with research tasks and tried to flesh out fictional writing, and I try to surround myself with healthy habits and invite back the productive energy. I've quit social media. I've started sleeping with my phone out of the room. I go outside every day. But every day, without variation, I am motivated to do nothing more than sit on the couch and stare into the distance. It could be depression. I feel I have the proper medication for my depression, but who actually knows? It could be situational. I am still between jobs and without a car of my own. It could be because I'm married now. When I used to live with roommates, I didn't have a comfortable space to stay in all day. And when I was single, I was more motivated to go out and present my best self to the world in order to find someone. I really believe my husband makes me a better person, but I'm also more comfortable now. I was always afraid of contentment trapping me in its gray arms, but now I'm sitting in it unhappily every day. It could also be a lack of money. The economy is rough, and I now live in the Pacific Northwest. And like I said, I'm between jobs. My husband and I are also focused on paying off our debt as much as possible this year, so there's no extra cash for fun outings, and there are a few free outings. I think a good part of it is a lack of challenge and a lack of connection. I don't have anything that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into right now. I don't have anyone to tell about it, husband excluded. I've yet to make a friend in the state I live in, and my long-distance friendships and relationships aren't strong enough to make up for that. All of these are things I want to change, but when it comes right down to it, I don't know if it's any of that. I fear that my years of weed use have permanently changed my brain to be less loud and hectic, and therefore less driven and motivated. I don't feel like it's just depression. I'm used to being lonely, and I have no excuse for not doing more. I feel like maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe this is what aging really is. I miss my past self. I always had issues, but I had such a spark for life behind it all. These days, I don't feel like I'm living at all. It feels like life is passing me by, and I'm observing it through a window. I tried to convince myself that everyone is lonely, that everyone is struggling with money, that everyone is feeling the way I'm feeling to some extent. But I can't convince myself of that because it's just not true. I don't know how many more life improvements I can make without feeling my life improve. I try to pick sustainable things. I know I can do so much more, but I also know I can't maintain those habits long. I actually think right now I have the healthiest habits I've ever had. Regular, fresh, and home-cooked food, water, exercise, fresh air, no drugs, daily vitamins, a skincare routine, no social media, regular painting, and still, I have no internal spark. I'm deeply scared that it's gone forever, and I'm deeply afraid of my life passing by this way. I don't know how to change, but I want to. I am ready to get hurt trying to make friends again. I just don't know where to find them. I'm ready to feel the whiplash of creative spark and depressed crashes, but maybe those are just in the past. I'm ready to want to participate in deep thought activities, but without school, where can I even find that? My worst fear is that my weed use really is the cause, and this is just how things are now. I hope that someone else out there feels seen by this video. It's a pretty vulnerable one. In the end, they're all vulnerable ones. If you want to connect, please subscribe and leave a comment. I'll reply to all of them. And that's all for this week. I'll see you next time, friend. Bye.